Jungkook panics. Taehyung reveals JIN's health condition in Los Angeles. Before we dive into this emotional, behind-the-scenes story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our deep dives into the untold moments that shape BTS. Trust me, this is one story you'll want to hear to the very end. It was one of those rare evenings when the city of Los Angeles seemed almost still. The streets outside the hotel were quiet, bathed in the warm glow of the street lamps. Inside, the BTS members had just wrapped a long day, a mix of rehearsals, interviews, and private meetings. The energy was low, the mood subdued. But in one particular suite, something far heavier than exhaustion was in the air. Taehyung sat on the edge of the couch, his hands clasped tightly together. His usual bright, mischievous eyes seemed distant, locked in thought. Jungkook, sensing something was off, leaned against the wall, arms folded, waiting for his hyung to speak. The room was dim, only lit by the soft amber light of a desk lamp, casting long shadows across their faces. Then Taehyung said it, quietly at first, almost as if he wasn't sure the words should leave his mouth. But once they did, they hung in the air like a storm cloud. "It's JIN, there's something going on with his health." Jungkook froze. His mind instantly jumped to a dozen worst-case scenarios. "What do you mean? Is he sick? Did something happen in Korea?" The questions came out in a rush, his voice a little louder than intended. Taehyung didn't answer immediately. He just stared at the floor, his fingers curling tighter. It wasn't the first time BTS members had faced challenges together, injuries, grueling schedules, emotional lows, but this felt different. This wasn't about music, performance, or public image. This was personal. In the world of K-pop, health updates, especially serious ones, are often kept under tight wraps. Companies worry about panic, rumors, or unwanted speculation. But Taehyung's expression made it clear, this wasn't about publicity control. This was about concern, maybe even fear. Months earlier, during one of JIN's rare public appearances after his military enlistment began, fans had noted subtle changes. Some said he looked thinner. Others noticed he seemed to favor one side when he walked. Of course, speculation ran wild, but HYB had released no statement beyond the usual reassurances. Most ARMY chalked it up to stress, training, or simple exhaustion. But what Taehyung had learned recently, and what he was now sharing with Jungkook, suggested there was more beneath the surface. Jungkook took a step forward, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Why didn't he tell me?" There was a crack in his tone, a hint of betrayal mixed with worry. JIN was more than a bandmate, he was like an older brother who had shielded Jungkook from the harshest parts of fame when they were younger. Taehyung shook his head. He didn't want anyone to worry. He made me promise not to say anything. But I can't keep it from you anymore." In that moment, Jungkook's mind was a whirlwind of memories, late-night ramen runs with JIN, silly games in the practice room, the way JIN's laughter could turn a tense rehearsal into pure chaos. To think of him struggling silently felt unbearable. But what exactly was going on with JIN's health? Was it something temporary, a passing condition that would resolve with rest? Or was it something deeper, something that could impact his ability to return to the stage? The answer wasn't straightforward, and as Taehyung began to share more, the lines between fact, fear, and speculation began to blur. Outside the hotel, Los Angeles continued its quiet hum, the distant sound of a car on Sunset Boulevard, the faint buzz of a neon sign flickering in the distance. Inside, Jungkook was pacing now, trying to process every word. The air felt heavy, as if the room itself understood the weight of the conversation. Taehyung recounted a meeting JIN had attended privately with a specialist in Seoul before leaving for the US. The doctor had been cautious, using phrases like monitoring and precaution. JIN, being JIN, had downplayed it, insisting he was fine and telling Taehyung not to blow it out of proportion. But the fact that he was seeing a specialist at all, that spoke volumes. For years, JIN had been the one to shoulder burdens quietly. He had taken injuries in stride, sometimes performing through pain rather than letting the group, or the fans, down. He often said things like, "It's just part of the job," or "I'm fine, don't worry." But the truth is, in the high-stakes world of K-pop, that attitude can be dangerous. Jungkook knew this better than anyone. He'd seen what constant touring could do to an artist's body and mind. And now, hearing Taehyung's words, he realized JIN might have been carrying something far heavier than they'd imagined. Taehyung finally looked up, meeting Jungkook's eyes. "He doesn't want ARMY to know, not yet. He says it'll only make them worry." Jungkook stopped pacing. The room was silent, except for the distant hum of the air conditioner. His chest felt tight, his mind racing with questions he couldn't yet answer. What exactly was wrong with JIN? How long had he been hiding it? And why did Taehyung choose this moment, here in Los Angeles, far from home, to reveal the truth? The night was far from over, and what came next would test not only their friendship but the very bond that has kept BTS together all these years. Jungkook couldn't sit still. His heart was pounding in his chest like a drumbeat echoing the tension in the room. Every word Taehyung had spoken replayed in his mind, growing heavier with each repetition. The reality that JIN, their worldwide handsome, the glue of the group, the one who had always carried the weight of BTS with a quiet strength, might be struggling with something serious, made Jungkook feel an unfamiliar panic. Taehyung leaned back, his gaze distant, almost haunted. He didn't want to tell anyone because he knew how much it would hurt all of us. And ARMY too. His voice trembled slightly, betraying the calm he usually wore like armor. "But I couldn't keep it from you, Kookie. You're too close to him. You deserve to know." Jungkook closed his eyes and tried to process it. Memories flooded in, JIN laughing over a slice of pizza, teasing Jungkook about his sleep schedule, or insisting that he eat properly even when everyone else was too busy. JIN had always been the protector, the one who carried smiles even in the hardest moments. And now, Jungkook felt helpless, like the roles had reversed overnight. One thing was clear, whatever came next, BTS would face it together. But the story of JIN's health, the courage behind his silence, and the deep emotional currents running through this moment, that story was far from over. And in the next chapter, we'll reveal the moments that followed, private meetings, late-night calls, and the emotional decisions that could define the future of BTS.